So I'm so excited to show you guys my Notion setup. So if you're like, what is a Notion? Think of Notion as like another project management application, but better. So think of it as like Asana meets Trello meets ClickUp, all kind of rolled into one. You can create your own databases for different things. You can have different views of those databases to include Kanban boards, a gallery view, a calendar view, and you name it. Sounds like a lot, but it is glorious. I'm telling you, it is so amazing. And I've tried all those other project management websites before or applications before. And I like this one because it's more customizable and I can make the different views and pages the way I want them to be. So I consider it almost like the WordPress of project management systems because like WordPress allows you to do a lot more customizations than maybe some other platforms that let you create websites, but you have to be okay with like learning all the things in order to make the web page customizable. And so to me, Notion is like that a little bit, right? Where there's a little bit of a learning curve to figure out how you create your different views and your different pages. But once you figure it out, that's it. You can really make this an extremely powerful tool that will allow you to not only stay on task or on track, but also allow you to keep abreast or keep databases of things that are really important to you. And this can work for just yourself, like right now, it's just me using it, or it can work in a team. And I have created a list of so many different amazing resources that can help you through this. If you go over to nachesnow.com/notion, I share with you every single video or course that I took in order to educate myself about Notion. Now, you don't need to watch all of them in order to get this. I'm just that kind of person. Once I find out about something, I just kind of go all in. And so, if you're that type of person, definitely go over there and check out some of the resources. But the resources that I've listed also have free templates. So if you don't really want to go all in and you just want to be dangerous enough, there are some templates over there that you could just take from other people that they're giving out for free and then just customize those templates to do what you want. And I will show you some examples today of how I did that to create my perfect setup. And so, no, today I'm not going to go into how to use Notion, how to customize the different pages. I am just going to show you how I use Notion to give you a sense of how it works so you can determine if Notion is for you. Now, I have some timestamps below. So if you just want to see my plant page or my entertainment page or my podcast page, you can just jump right to those sections. Also, please take the time to subscribe to the video. And if you like the video at the end, I appreciate a thumbs up. And of course, sharing is caring, my friends. If you think this would be great for someone else, please share the link with your friends or coworkers because I really do want to inspire people to be more organized and more productive. And I think this is one way of doing that. So I'm just going to jump right in so you can see what my Notion setup looks like. Okay, so this is Notion. If you go to Notion.so, it'll be a blank slate, but you'll essentially see this, and there are pages and templates and all kind of things that you could use, as I mentioned before. But I'm not going to go into any of that. I'm just going to show you what my setup looks like. Now, I call my setup Neverland because it just feels magical. And so in Neverland, I wanted beautiful pictures and animated GIFs, and you don't have to do all this, but I'm extra. And the video that I initially watched on Notion by Twirling Pages, she had like all this fancy stuff, and I'm like, I want mine to look just like that. So I totally ripped her setup and just made it my own. And so, no, if you want to do the same thing, you can, of course, use images of your own, but you can go to Giphy.com to get animated GIFs. And then also, you could go to unsplash.com to get free images. And so I have it set up where I have this image, and these are stickers I created on my silhouette. And so I'm really proud of them. Um, and Also, I have like an animated GIF for the icon of of this page, which shows up next to the name of the page over here. And then I have some animated GIFs below in order to separate the sections of my space. And so I'll just quickly take you through like the home page, if you will, of Neverland. I have my word of the year is growth, my color is plum, and my superpower is productivity, which is why I'm doing this Notion video. But I wanted these three things here because this is what I'm focusing on in 21 for personal and business, for personally and for my business. And so I wanted it the first thing I see when I go into Neverland. And so here you have like three spaces I set up, and you see when I hover over it that there's a way for me to make these columns smaller or wider. I also can like drag them to different places on this page. I can hit this plus sign and add a new like block underneath here. It's so super easy to use and customize. I absolutely love it. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want to get into the nitty gritty, but know that in my section, I have three sections: dreams, plans, home, and stuff. And under that, there are three categories each. For dreams and plans, I've decided to do personal to dos, business and education, home, plants and food, entertainment, favorite websites, and workouts. Some of the pages I haven't set up yet are workouts, food yet. I'm probably going to do recipes on there. And then education, I'll show you guys briefly, but that page really isn't set up yet either. And then personal to dos, I haven't quite set that up, but it's getting there. And then down below, I have the plan. This week's focus is the plan, and I also have yearly goals to think about. I've kind of bolded what I've decided to do for those yearly goals, but I put this here in January because I wanted to determine if I was going to get a new car or fix my old car, if I wanted to purchase another house or stay in an apartment, if I wanted to get a dog. And I've kind of decided no for a new car. I want to stay in my apartment. I'm not yet ready to buy a new home. I kind of like living in an apartment after having a home or two homes, over the last couple of decades. And I'm not going to get a dog yet because I just want to wait a little bit. And then you can also like embed Spotify stuff in here too, like players, which is pretty cool. Okay, so back up here, you can create pages within pages within pages. And so I'm just going to take you guys through some of my personal pages, and then I'm just going to get to the business section. And I'm not going to show you all of them because I just don't want to get too in the weeds, and I want to make this video as brief as possible just to inspire you enough and to be dangerous enough. And so I'm just going to show you some of my favorite pages. And so on a personal side, under stuff, one of my favorite pages is entertainment. If you're not a scary movie person, you might want to fast forward because some of the images might be scary to you. But I am a monster, aliens, vampire, werewolves, you name it kind of girl. So I just started this database this year, but essentially, this is my way of tracking all the movies that I'm watching, but then also all of the movies that I want to see. And so when you click new up here, this is like all the parameters of like the database that I set up. Like I want to be able to put, you know, what type of movie it is, add an image so I can have a gallery view, what network it's on, if it's a TV series or movies, I want to be able to put a rating. If it's a release date, I want to put that in there. And then if there is a cost, I want to mark that I have to rent or buy it because it's not available on any of the networks for free yet. And so for me, that's super important. Okay, so once you do that, and what's lovely is Notion is also available on your phone. So as I'm watching something or hear something, if somebody's like, oh, monster hunters, literally, I just go on Google, search for an image, and then just put in all the information I have on it. So then I know, like, ooh, okay, this is what I want to see or buy or whatever. And what's nice is once you have all of this stuff in the database, you can quickly do filters or sorts for different views. So this is a database, right? And we're looking at the gallery view and all. But I can add another view, which I did, which is I called my watch list. I put a filter on it and I said, only show me things that don't have a rating because I know if it doesn't have a rating, I haven't watched it yet. And so then I can see all the things that I want to watch, and then I can figure out, like, okay, which ones are rent to buy. And so maybe I want to avoid those and wait for those to come out. And then I have like the other ones where Debris, for example, I am watching it, it's ongoing. I haven't finished the series yet, so it hasn't been rated. Shadow and Bones, it's coming out April 23rd, so I know I have to wait for that. And then to watch, it's just not on any thing that I have, like on any plan I have. I don't have YouTube TV, so or AMC, so or BBC access, so I can't watch it. But I just wanted to. I just still wanted to stay on my list just in case I do decide to get YouTube TV, or maybe just in case it becomes available on Hulu or something like that. And so I really just love having this database because I'm a movie head, even though I usually only watch movies after 8 o'clock. That's still like 2, 3 hours of where I can really dig in and watch like my favorite alien or monster movies. And as a movie head, I just love the idea of tracking them. So maybe excessive for some, but to me, I love knowing kind of what I've watched. So it's kind of exciting to me and it's super easy to do because the database is already set up for me. Um, Also, favorite websites. I used to track this in Google Sheets and then I imported all of my data in here. So I have over 600 websites. And anytime I hear about a website, I will put it in here if I'm going to use it or not, because I just don't want to forget about it. And so I always have like what it is, I tag it with something, I have the URL, and then if it's a note goes with it, then I put a note on there. And then if it's something that I want to research later, I'll put like a star next to it. And so all of these things are in the database. So I'm just going to open one right now. And so you see TaskRabbit, it's an assistance, type of website. And so I just have that on there. If this had like a specific cost to it, and it might, I just don't know, then I would put that in there. And then if I, of course, wanted to follow up and remind myself that I wanted to research this website, then I would star it. So it's really cool. And, just like I mentioned before, you can have different views. So I have a view where I put a filter of if anything has a star, then show it. And then I kind of like have a sort where it sorts by the tag and then it sorts by the company. And so all these things are things that maybe I've seen in the last month or so that I'm like, oh, I want to check out more. So I can easily go to my star list and then check them out. So pretty cool, right? And then last thing I'll mention here about the beauty of having these databases is everything is searchable. So let's say I want to go to one of the public domain websites to use some of the images for a project, I can quickly go to all of the public domain sites that I have found over the web, and then just go to it, right? And so there's no searching. What was that website? Whatever. So I really like that. And then the last personal one I will show you guys is plants. I'm not going to do home, but basically here I track any apartments that I'm interested in or I have visited. And then I also track, I will track rather, when I'm ready to buy again. all the homes that I'm interested in. They'll have ratings next to them and all that jazz. So, looking forward to doing that when I'm ready to house hunt again. And then the plants one. So I will have a link to this in the notes for this YouTube video. So if you go to Notion.com/Notion, I will have a link to where I got this database from. This was a shared database from someplace else. And it's really helpful if you're a plant person. So basically, I set up the parameters like the icons for low light, bright and direct light to direct light, and then also the icons for the watering schedule. So plants that need it once a month, every 7 days, and every 14 days. And essentially, the formula that the guy set up, I then use these parameters in order to adjust his formula just a little bit so it could work for my plants. And so what's nice is here's a gallery view. I can see my stuff in a table view, and I can also customize another gallery view where I put some filters on to using the equations. It'll let me know if it's time to water them, which is amazing. So I check this page often just to make sure like I'm like checking my plants and seeing which ones they're saying like, hey, these need water. And then this one, for example, the last time I watered it was February 28th, but actually when I touched the soil like a few days ago, it still was good. So, use it with a grain of salt. You know your plants, you know your environment. And so this is kind of more of a guide, but it's a really useful guide. Another thing that I'll mention is when you set up a database, you can have different views of that database, not only as a drop down, because it says add a view right here, but I also added another view below it of the same database, but the calendar view, because I wanted to be able to just scroll down and also see on the calendar when the last time was that I watered a plant. So you can really customize this stuff. I could go definitely into the weeds, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, so that's like all the personal stuff. Let's get into the business stuff really quick so you can see how I'm using it for business. And now I've kind of taken out or hidden some stuff just so you guys don't know everything going on. But in the business section, I have Studio 78 podcast. I have content and brain dump. I'm not going to go into brain dump because it's literally a brain dump, but I will go into the Studio 78 podcast and the content. But one thing that you'll hear about for Notion is relational databases. And so just to give you a brief overview of it, it's when one database essentially talks to the other. So here's a list where I have like a task list, right? And with that task list, I have different views, all to do, day plan. I have a status board, list view, so many, like you can have a Kanban board. Oh my God. So anyway, here's all my list of to-dos. But if you see in this category, podcast and content, these two columns are linked to this content database I'll show you and this Studio 78 database, because I wanted to be able to have a place where I can have all my action items. So these databases house the content of what I need to create, but this database that it links to actually is the one where it's like, okay, now it's time to do something. So it'll make a little bit more sense when I show you guys these other two databases, but essentially this is my master to-do list, which I love. And then what else I'll show you is on this page, my business page, I have like my top business goals, like increase YouTube channel subscriptions. So please subscribe. I have increased podcast listeners. So go over to iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe to the Studio 78 podcast. And then I have other things like generate more revenue on Skillshare, develop successful digital products, and consistently make 1K a day. And then I have like my quarterly themes that I put here. And then what I will also have in the notes section on my website, nachesnote.com/Notion, is this template that I got from someone else of quarterly goals, which I really, really love. So everything is really nice and neat. So I have quarter one, what my goal is, and then I have my top 3 quarters. And this person already laid out each week for the entire year. And so what you can do is go to a specific week, put those type priorities in, and then you can do your to-do list. So you could just come back to this page constantly and reference what you need to do and check off whatever. So it's really nice. I've used it for some of these other weeks. I'm just not showing you because it's going into too much detail, but this is really useful. But you could grab that free template by going over to the page that I mentioned earlier. And then last but not least on this page, I also just have more information about like my stuff so I can quickly grab links if I need them and quickly grab my bio if I need it. So just a way to organize content. Okay, so last 2 pages I want to show you guys, my Studio 78 podcast page. I'm not going to show you all the in work because I don't want you all to see who's coming up on the next season. But know this, so Studio 78, I have like ideas, goals, and sponsors. So these are hidden right now. They're toggled. So if I untoggle ideas, like this long list of ideas will come down, but this is where I kind of keep all the things about the podcast. And then, and don't worry, I'm not showing you anything personal about my podcast, people. This is stuff you could see if you just go to my website or go to their website. I made sure to hide their email addresses or anything personal like that. But in this database, like if I was to do new, you see I collect a whole bunch of stuff like product status, published date, social debut, interviewee, um, their websites, their Instagram, Clubhouse, their superpower, email address, when I sent them an invite, if I need to follow up, when the interview date is, their picture, their promo pic, all the things. I have ethnicity, and I do that because I want to make sure that my podcast is a diverse podcast. And so this way I could quickly see if maybe I need to have more people on that are of Hispanic descent or Asian descent or Native American. It just allows me to track it so I can be better at looking for guests with a diverse set or a diverse background. Title, hashtag, season, episode. I have their state and city, and that comes again with the diversity because I want to make sure I'm just not doing people only in the DC area, but also on the West Coast and also, um, in the Midwest and the South and so forth. And sponsor, address, holiday card, and then here's that to-do list. This is where it connects to that other database. So if I needed to do something for this particular podcast episode, I could put that in here and it'll show that. And then let's say if I needed to create a newsletter, if I put that in this area here, it'll show in the content database that I'll show you guys next. But this is how you can kind of link different databases together. And then the podcast, and then the company. And I'm just going to delete this so it doesn't create a blank thing. And so I have all their information at my fingertips, which is really nice. I have to go back and do some of the older episodes. I'm slowly doing it. I at least have pictures in for everyone, but it takes a while to put in all the details. So stay tuned. And I don't have an assistant right now. I took the information out right now, but once I put it back in, I would be able to see when an episode is going to air. So it kind of helps me plan that out. And then I also have, because remember I told you you could have linked databases. So this is the main database, but then this is kind of a mirror of it but showing a calendar view. And then I kind of mirrored it again, showing a gallery view. So you don't always just have to have things, the different views, like I said before, in a drop down. You can have different views on the same page or different pages, which is nice. And so in this gallery view, I really like this so I can see all the beautiful faces of my guests really easily. Um, the reason why I really like this is because let's say if I'm like, oh, I know someone who needs a calligrapher. I can quickly start typing calligraphy, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I interviewed Amanda, and this is a good person for so and so to reach out to. Or Chandra, she does hand lettering. Or, let's say um, I'm looking for an artist. I could be like, oh yeah, Heidi, you want to check out Heidi? She was an amazing artist I interviewed in episode 120. It just really allows me to see my guests. And once I have the database fully filled in, which I don't now, it just allows me to see like, who I've interviewed, the different superpowers, all the things. So this just helps me be more of an organized person, and I really, really love it. Okay, so the last page I'm going to show you guys is the content page. And essentially, whenever I want to create a newsletter, an article, a digital product, a course, or a YouTube video, I start with this template. Now, they all share, like, let's say if I click newsletter, they all share the same attributes because, or excuse me, they all have, I guess, they all have the same setup because this is a shared database for all of my content. So they all will come up with this list for me to fill in, even though they're not all of these are relevant to, let's say, a YouTube video or a newsletter. But where the magic comes in is down below. This is a checklist because I created newsletter. But if I chose YouTube, something completely different would come up. So for example, if I hit delete and then I go YouTube video, see all this kind of like stays the same, but there's going to be something different that generates down here that will help me with the planning for the YouTube video. So, and this stuff here, again, this template can be found on nachesnow.com/Notion. This one I think was from Thomas Frank. And so I kind of modified it just a little bit, but I like how he kind of organized the content for his videos when he's like planning them out. So I decided to use that too. And so you see here, because all the content is a shared database, um, you have to be okay with some things maybe not relating to the content. Like for example, well, I guess all these really relate. But so the product, like if it's a newsletter, the status, I might do idea, action, research. I think I made them general enough. Is this productivity, bookbinding, or business? Let's say I'm doing a newsletter to my business people, the audience's business. I could create a task that would go on the task list. Um, I can mark if visuals are done for the different social media accounts. I can put a link in here once the post is done. If a sponsor, if I do decide to get a sponsor, I can add that here, and then the thumbnail image. So I guess I made these, patting myself on the back, generic enough where it could go with any of the different product types, but then down here is when it gets a little bit more customized. Delete. Okay. And then I have like different filters and sorts set up. So, I have it where it's like by product, and then within the product, um, it then sorts it by when it's supposed to debut, and then it sorts it by the title. And that's just the way my brain works. And then for the filter, um, I have status does not equal published. So that means anything that's in work, because I already have a published thing here. So then I can see all the content that has been published. And then here's the Kanban board view. So this is a view of this database that I created, but the Kanban board, I have another ideas section where I put different ideas here. And then this is me where I'm trying to plan out my content. The goal is to plan out the content 6 months in advance. It just helps me when I plan out in advance like that. And then I really love using quotes. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to use this. But I think anytime I use a quote somewhere, I'm going to put it here and then I'm going to put where I use the quote to make sure I'm not using the same quotes over and over again. So yeah, that's my Notion setup. That was a lot. I know that was a lot. So just switching back to me. I hope you enjoyed this video. There was a lot here. Go to nachesnow.com/Notion. Every video that I watched, every template that I used is all on that page. Every single thing is on that page. Everything you would need and want is on that page if you are interested. Do you need to look at all the videos and the resources I listed? No, absolutely not. You could take someone's template, watch a quick tutorial video, and you could be up and running like that. I just like to really get a good understanding of any new program that I'm using, so I dug deep. So for those of you who want to dig deep, you can dig deep. Um, so definitely go over there to get templates and all that good stuff. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. In the comment section below, if you would like me to do a tutorial, please just say, Nache, please do a tutorial on just how to set up Notion, and then I'll create a completely different video where I literally walk you through creating your first page on Notion. So just let me know if you want to see that. And yeah, I hope you found this to be really useful. I hope it helped sparked maybe some ideas on how you could use Notion. I mean, I really have a robust setup, but you might only want to use it for one thing. And, you might already have other things like your Notes app or Trello or whatever that you're really loving or using for something else like Google Sheets or whatever. But, you don't have to use it for everything, right? I don't use this for everything. I just use it for the things that make sense. And so I'm really loving it. And hope you did too, or hope you do too, rather. And I'll catch you in the next video. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll have another maybe cool video linked somewhere in here on one of these corners for you to check out next. All right. Take care. Bye.